I've never been the giving type, Creed.
Marvel loves alliterations, and there is no better alliteration than Dr. Doom. You know exactly what is in store for you with a name like that.
You are trespassing on Latvian soil.
Someone with above average intelligence who will be bringing about some doom. Is Marvel quietly laying the groundwork to introduce Dr. Doom into the MCU? I'd say most likely. In order to understand what Marvel is trying to do with the MCU, there has to be a baseline understanding of certain characters and their motives. Victor Von Doom is Dr. Doom's real name. He was born poor in a small European nation called Latveria, and he lost both of his parents at a young age. His mother's soul belonged to a demon that she had bargained with, which isn't great information for a young person to learn about their mother, unless you really want them to grow up with some unresolved trauma. Eventually, Doom went to New York to attend school after winning a scholarship in science. Despite losing his parents so young, that was just the beginning for his descent into evil. While he was experimenting on a creation to connect the dimensions, he suffered a minor setback. Well, it kind of literally blew up in his face and gave him some scars. Long story short, he went to Tibet, conquered some monks, and forged a suit of armor and a mask, giving us the image of Dr. Doom that we know and love. He also set pretty mild ambitions for himself of world domination, being superior to Reed Richards, and rescuing his mother's soul. Now, what does all of this have to do with Victor and the MCU? Well, there's a massive and popular storyline within the Marvel comic universe titled Doomwar, which causes some major doom, you know I couldn't use a different word there, to Wakanda and the universe. So far, the biggest connection we have is the introduction of Namor in Wakanda Forever. Namor, also known as the Submariner, tries to recruit the Black Panther to join the Green Goblin's band of villains who call themselves the Cabal. After T'Challa refused, he was beaten comatose by Dr. Doom's forces. So, Namor could be crucial to the development of this villain group that could lead into Doomwar. Also, Namor and Dr. Doom have some of the biggest egos, and they think that they should rule over their corners of the world. Namor being the ocean, and Doom being the entire world/universe. Due to these somewhat aligning goals, Namor and Doom have been known to team up with one another when their goals align, but they would also stab each other in the back without hesitation. Nevertheless, the introduction of Namor could be a primer for introducing Doom into the MCU. The other MCU seed that has been planted is the introduction of the new Black Panther. Shuri takes on the title and abilities of Black Panther in Wakanda Forever, and also did the same thing within Doomwar. Now, in the comic storyline, eventually T'Challa wakes up and makes a pact with a new entity for fun new abilities, like ruling the dead. Regardless of what happened to T'Challa in the comics, we do have Shuri taking the mantle of the Black Panther. That is a major step within the MCU, and important for the trajectory of Doomwar and Dr. Doom receiving his big screen adaptation. Like I said, Wakanda Forever did some real heavy lifting when it comes to dropping new characters that allude to Dr. Doom and Doomwar. Another instance are the Midnight Angels. This badass group of warriors was created to combat Namor in the final act of Wakanda Forever. Their creation in the comic books was to combat Dr. Doom. The suits they wear in both iterations allows them to take their already elite skills and make them even more dangerous to go up against. In the Doomwar comic, the suits allow them to engage with Doom, which otherwise would be a very difficult task. Even though they were created for different reasons, their inclusion in the MCU is a massive Easter egg, connecting Wakanda to future Dr. Doom troubles in a potential Doom War-like event. But what are Dr. Doom's motives in Doom War? Well, just like anyone or anything else that puts their sights on Wakanda, He just wants that sweet, sweet vibranium that they have tucked away. Just a taste of that precious metal, that's all. And wouldn't you know it, but he actually succeeds. Dr. Doom successfully infiltrated Wakanda with nanite cameras and discovered where the vibranium was held. During a large distraction, you could call it a large-scale fight, he snuck into the vibranium vault and swiped it like a fox. Maybe someone should have just said, "Doctor, no swiping." There is a ton of anticipation regarding the next Avengers films, with Secret Wars being at the top of the list. Dr. Doom plays an integral part in that story arc, and even more characters would need to be introduced to the MCU in order for the comic book arc to receive a true screen adaptation. The movies appeal to the general public and comic book fans, so Secret Wars just can't happen without Dr. Doom. There is a good chance that Dr. Doom could appear in the Fantastic Four film, since Reed Richards, also known as Mr. Fantastic, is basically his main nemesis. Doom is always trying to prove that he is better than Richards, and this has been the case ever since they were equals while studying in college. But there were people who would have bet their life's savings that Doom was going to appear in Wakanda Forever, and that didn't happen. So all any of us can do is speculate, which can be fun. He could also appear in the next Deadpool film, since the Merc with a Mouth is also present during Secret Wars. He actually teams up with the Midnight Angels in their battle against Doom. At this point, this goes without saying, but with the can of worms that is the multiverse being ever present in the current MCU arcs, we could have literally anyone be part of the Secret Wars. Good guy or bad guy. As long as the studios own the rights, of course. But dropping a major villain that could be the big bad of this arc in a Deadpool film would be unexpected and spectacular. Especially if they got to meet Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. There's a reason everyone is so excited for the potential Dr. Doom appearance in the MCU. First of all, he is a very well-known super baddie within the comic books, with his recognizable mask and green hooded cape. Bringing in a recognizable villain will definitely bring people to the box office. He also accomplishes some amazing feats and really flexes why he is a villain that should be feared. He literally rips the spine out of another villain. Need I say more? With the multiverse, he could rip out the spine of the same bad guy he did in the comics, or it could be someone else. There are theories that Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars will be a two-part finale, just like Infinity War and Endgame. Could you imagine if at the end of the Kang Dynasty, the villain we thought was going to be the overarching big bad gets their spine removed? That would be a wild cliffhanger, since that would be the first time we have two bad guys trying to out-bad guy the other one. But in order for that to happen, we need some baseline introduction of Dr. Doom ahead of Phase 6. Hopefully, we will have more clarity about Kang's involvement in all of this during the next Ant-Man film.
What's it gonna be?
Marvel has the unique challenge of having so much content to wade through that sometimes we don't get to see our favorite characters reach their fullest potential.
This is wild.
They also have the generic structure of a movie to consider in order to keep the attention of the average moviegoer. A typical movie needs to have a 3-act structure, a protagonist, and an antagonist that opposes the protagonist in order for that movie to feel complete.
Probably me.
Due to this, every Marvel movie has had one villain, and then, until recently, we never saw that villain again.
That was dramatic.
Which put a bitter taste in the mouth of mega Marvel fans. Ultron, Whiplash, Malekith, and more were viewed as wasted villains. What makes these overarching antagonists so interesting is that we know we are going to see them more than once, and that means we are going to see them truly wear down our heroes, making their victory all the more satisfying. All of the independent character films that have come out try to make us believe that the bad guy in that film is the real deal this time. But by now we know that unless they are Thanos or Kang level of bad, that our hero will come out at the end of the film triumphant.
Don't tell me I'm a disappointment.
No.
I go over all of this to touch on Thanos and how we were left with the massive cliffhanger of the Avengers actually losing to the villain. We needed a whole other movie for us to see the Avengers band together to come out victorious. Something similar has to happen at the end of Kang Dynasty, leading into Secret Wars, but it can't be the same thing as the end of Infinity War, or we, the fans, will definitely feel cheated. The only other cliffhanger we can contemplate is some good old bad guy on bad guy fighting, and the hierarchy of evil being flipped on its head. Kang the Conqueror, as it stands now, is the overarching big bad of the MCU. He appeared at the end of Loki and introduced us to the multiverse, and now he is going to appear in the next Ant-Man film. Based on events that take place during Secret War, he may not be the villain forever. If Marvel wanted to flip the script on what we can expect, then it would be absolutely insane to see Kang taken out by someone like Doctor Doom. It's like when you think someone is going to be eaten by one dinosaur, and then the T-Rex shows up and eats that dinosaur and the human who is stunned in shock. The Avengers wouldn't know what to do if they were prepared to take on Kang, and then all of a sudden, he's no longer a problem. Dr. Doom was heavily rumored to make an appearance in Wakanda Forever, but unfortunately, that did not take place. However, the events that did take place during the film have strong ties to similar storylines that Dr. Doom plays a big part in. When do you think Dr. Doom will be introduced into the MCU?
And your authority to detain me amounts to precisely nothing.
Do you think we will see the events of Doomwar on the big screen? Let us know in the comments, and thank you for watching.